Big crowd. Good. You? Shoot.
Walk us through the decision a little bit when it came to the Raiders game, the decision to kind of move towards the passing game as opposed to.
Yeah. Um, we obviously we want to stay balanced as much as we can. That's always been the way we have operated offensively, and I know that's the way we intend every game to go. Said it a million times. I've never called a perfect game, and would love to be right on the perfect line of balance every week. And so just when you look back at things, there's things you wish you would have done a little different here and there. And at the end of the day, I always want to try to do what's best for the team. And some weeks that's better done than others. So um, always try to learn from previous experiences, and certainly would try to do a good job of maintaining balance at every week that we can, until obviously the game falls into a different category.
Like I said, sort of, the question was, does Drake have too much on his plate? And like I said, we reevaluate everything, want us be in the best position possible. What did you make of what you gave him? And did you think that was an issue at all on Sunday?
No, no. We haven't given him anything more than what we've given him all year, which is not too much. I think we have to understand it's his first game in our system. Um, I think we all learned a lot from each experience we've had. Uh, every practice, Washington, joint practice, Minnesota, um, preseason games. The little that we were able to work together, obviously, and then the first full game. That we have an opportunity to go through our operation and see things for the first time and use our rules and follow our rules. Thought he made a lot of good plays. Thought he made a lot of good decisions. But I'm focused really on the process of him getting better every day, because I think the view of it is, it's got to be a long-term vision of where this guy's going to be. He's going to be a really good player, and we just, there's things that are going to happen in every game, for especially at that position, that aren't going to be perfect. It's really hard to play a perfect game at that spot, let alone any spot. But no, I think Drake does an incredible job of preparing. He's got a great attitude and mindset, and we're trying to do the things to help the team win, and we'll continue to do that.
Josh, the idea of being perfect has come up a couple times with Mike. Is that some of your conversations with Drake as you get to know him and how he handles failure to understand? Like, you can shoot for it, but that's just never going to happen.
Yeah, I think we've all said that. I think competitive guys want to do their best, every week. So, if you have opportunities and you don't, make the play you think you can make, or, we miss an opportunity offensively, like all of us are disappointed. I think over time you realize that it's hard to play, even a game that's close to perfect, in our league. So it's an imperfect game. There's too many variables on every play. They have too many good players on the other side, too many good coaches on the other side. There's always going to be difficult things you have to deal with. I think that's another part of the process, is learning how to handle something that didn't go our way, but then being able to continue to play and find ways to be productive after that. And so that's my job. Offensively, we have to do a good job of being able to handle the results, good or bad. We talk about having poise, whether it's a good result or a poor one, and, go down and score a touchdown and come back and try to go score another one, and not get too high or too low, one way or the other.
Josh, what in your mind are the biggest areas that Drake needs the most work on to take the next step forward?
I'm literally, Karen. I'm kind of I'm the global view with him. The quarterback. I mean, quarterback's a really difficult position to play, and there's a million things that you do, every day, every play, between cadence and understanding the defense and your footwork and your throwing mechanics and reading coverage, and there's all kinds of things, pocket movement, play faking, handling pressures, seeing defenses. There can't be one or two things, you know what I mean? So I'll never boil it down to that because that would be doing them a disservice. We have a lot of work that needs to get done every day. Yesterday was first and second down. Today's third down and short yardage. Tomorrow's going to be red zone, 2-minute goal line. Each one of those brings a different challenge for a young quarterback. And I would say the biggest thing for me is just, he's a young quarterback. He's a young quarterback. He's learning through all these experiences, and he's the right guy. And so we're going to have an opportunity to continue to grow and improve and get better. And I think I would be really, jumping ahead and jumping the gun if I tried to sit here and pinpoint one or two things. We work on a lot of things to try to get better every day, and he's gonna improve.
How do you balance keeping Drake safe, but also using his athleticism to hurt defense?
Yeah, I thought he did a good job of keeping himself safe. The other day, there was a couple things where he, either ran on his own or pulled the ball and did some stuff with his legs. But I thought that was progress. There's another area, that obviously last year, he took a couple hits that, inevitably his availability is what's most important. So always trying to keep him healthy, do the best we can to protect him in the passing game, which I thought, for the most part, we did a decent job of trying to do that. And then I thought he was smart when he used his legs.
Josh, Mike said something on Monday about the play caller has to get the play in efficiently. Was there any issues with the play not getting in on time?
I don't know if he was pinpointing one thing or another. Normally we do a good job of getting the call in and have plenty of time at the line. That's obviously my job if for some reason we didn't, but we didn't have any issues with the delays or anything like that.
With the three running backs, it seems like they can all have different roles in the offense. What did you maybe learn about the three of them in this first game and how they can be a factor?
They need the ball more. That's the best way to say it. So, like I said, I try to learn from each experience. I love the guys in that room. They work really hard. They can do a lot of different things. And I thought they did some things, but the way the game ended up going, really kind of we got sidetracked in the third quarter, and then the game changed a little bit. So I can do a better job.
It seemed like in the ground game there were some issues with post-snap movement and some unblocked second-level defenders. I'm curious if you saw it the same way, and also how you go about improving those this week.
Learning from it, honestly. It's really difficult to simulate movement sometimes in a running game, without being in pads in a game against another opponent that does it differently than the team that you practice against all the time. So we had a couple opportunities to see things like that against other opponents in the preseason, which was really good for us. I thought we learned some things there, but same thing, I think this is time on task. And a great opportunity for us to see that in a live setting, obviously against a good team. And, they did some things that pinched us off from getting up to the second level and the linebackers. And again, I'm excited and eager to use those experiences to improve. I think that's really what my mindset is for our whole group. And we certainly learned some stuff on Sunday.
When it comes to using pre-snap motion, and things like that, is that like a build-up over the course of the season versus kind of throwing that all in week one?
There's obviously using that is it's fun. It can be something that if you're not careful, it could hurt you. It's certainly going to change what you're looking at over there on the defensive side. And with such variables in week one and some of the unknown and uncertainty that goes along with the opening game, I don't know how much we ended up doing it or not. I'm not sure exactly what the number was, but there's definitely some pros and cons to it. You can gain advantages, certainly some weeks more than others, depending on whether the team is a man-to-man team, a zone team, what happens post-snap for them too. So, and then we have to be aware, obviously, of the adjustments that go along with that if things change, when we move somebody. So there'll probably be weeks where we use it more and weeks where we don't, based on what we think is hopefully best for the team.
Josh, Drake acknowledged yesterday on some of the throws that he'd like to have back, he felt rushed. what can you do to make them more comfortable, or for you is it just a question of experience, time will tell?
I think some of that is probably just, if there's something, look, I've always tried to do that with every guy I've had at that position. Like, everybody says, well, get them something easy early. The defense always has something to say about that too. And you can try. And that doesn't always do it. Sometimes, I coach guys that like to get hit. I don't want that to happen, but they did. They felt like they were into the game once they got, popped once. I've had people that wanted something short. I've had people that were super aggressive and wanted to go down the field. I think the first play I ever called in my life, Tom threw a post. It was incomplete, but he threw it. So I think for each guy it's different. I think we're learning. What do we need to do to make sure he feels good. I know he likes what we're doing early because we're in constant communication about that. It's just finding a way to be more productive. And if there's any way, obviously, we can do that and help that process along, then we need to do it, and we should.
Thanks, Josh.
Yep. Thank you.